Alright, hello everybody. For those of you just tuning in, I'd like to personally welcome you to the second African Kingdoms Expert 3v3 Showcase, hosted by myself, Resonance22 and Robo, who will be co-casting with me. It's Game 3 in a 5-game series, and the goal of these matches is to show us how the top Age of Empires experts will play the brand new expansion. In Game 3, each team is required to pick one forgotten civilization, and they're going to be playing on a modified version of Nomad that contains new animals, but is otherwise exactly the same. One interesting thing to note with the draft is that that's not the Magyars pick for RiuT. Brazil has actually chosen the Italians instead. So, one thing I wanted to ask you is, what do you think about this Italians pick, Robo?
Oh, I think it's interesting because they don't really have any strong eco bonus. Like, they've got cheaper gold units, which is kind of helpful for everything, but it doesn't really lead to anything specifically on Nomad. It's like it'll help them if they're going for Agorash or Archers or Knights.
That's the Portuguese is the one with the gold bonus. The Italians have the
No,
cheaper gunpowder,
oh,
and then
oh,
the...
cheaper gunpowder. Okay, never mind. Well, then yeah, I've got nothing then.
Well, advancing the next age costs a little bit less, which is sort of, kind of an eco bonus. And now it's 15% and not 10%, so the Italians got a lot of buffs recently. To me, one of the most substantial ones, though, was the rework of Pavis, which used to just add Pierce armor and Dura armor to the Genoese crossbowman unit, but now it adds it to all of their foot archers. This includes arbalists and elite skirmishers, which is pretty powerful. But like you said, though, the Italians don't have an excellent economy. They do have a pretty strong navy, though, and Nomad has a lot of water, so we'll have to see how that plays out.
Well, I think the main issue for me is like there's no bonus for the start.
Yes.
Like Indians with cheaper villages makes it a whole lot easier because you only need to gather like 30 food before you can create the first new villager. Like that's something tangible to help with the sometimes really shitty starts you're going to end up having.
Yeah, the Italians are very, very weak during the first few minutes of the game. So it's an interesting pick. I would have, thought the Magyars would have also been excellent, but the Italians could come into play here. Another thing that we mentioned during the draft a little bit earlier is that the Indians pick for NC is something that fascinates me a lot. I do like the Indians pick here, though. Not only do I think it will actually throw Brazil off their groove a little bit, the camels are going to be excellent versus those knights that come into play later, but more importantly, than the cheaper villagers too, is that the Indians have this like shore fishing bonus where their villagers gather from shorefish significantly faster, and this is Nomad, so it's possible that could come into play, and it is a very powerful bonus when it's relevant.
Quickly looking at the player locations, Dogao is all by himself out towards the right, just south of Skittle.
Yeah.
Whereas both RiuT and Fire are out on the far left of the map. So Dogao's kind of going to be all by himself in the early stages of the game.
And, we've seen in plenty of Nomad games where this becomes a real problem as the game drags on. It's going to be very difficult for the rest of his team to support him should he get in trouble, as the rest of his team is on the complete opposite side of the map. And he does have a lot of cows, though, although some of them are being stolen by Pedro.
Like, Pedro's in a bit of a similar situation. He's quite close to Fire, but it's a lot easier for Nili to come in with some knights or something to come help him out, because he's so much closer.
Oh, definitely. And thank you so much, Clement, for the resub. Much appreciated. So, I expect to see a lot of action here between Dogao and Skittle. Skittle a little bit isolated, but there's so many cows for these players since we did get the frozen version of this specific version of Nomad, which means that there are cows instead of sheep. 150 food will give them a little bit of a faster start.
And we have yellow berry bushes, guys.
Oh, yes.
How cool is that?
They're called fruit bushes in this game. I think those are supposed to be lemons, but I thought lemons were like a tree thing. Yeah, but in the code, they're called orange shrubs, so I'm very confused.
They're called orange shrubs, but the actual unit is called a fruit bush. Interesting.
Yes.
That's very confusing.
I guess that's just what they defined it as initially, so that's pretty cute. Right now, it looks like RiuT is walking around one of his villagers looking for a good, juicy place to put down... Actually, no, I guess he's just scouting, because he has his dock at the top of the map. This is Nomad, by the way, so that means the players are going to be putting their docks along the edges of the map, regardless of where their town center is located, just basically based off where their starting villagers were. And there are a lot of docks on the right side.
Skittle is docking in the middle, which is, I think, a very good call for him, because his town center is so close to the middle.
Yeah, I like this a lot. Not only that, if you manage to get in a couple of galleys, you will be able to harass Dogao's lumberjacks, and eventually even maybe his gold miners in the later stages of the game. So this will give him
Well,
a very
hopefully by then.
safe. Oh yeah,
Hopefully by then the gold's been finished.
hopefully. Otherwise, he's probably dead. This is a very safe dock for Skittle, so this will allow him to get a strong economy in the early stages of the game. And he's going to need every little bit of boost that he can since he's so close to Dogao. This is going to be a very precarious location for him.
And I really love the Portuguese picks for both teams. Like the free Cardo this stage of the... Oh, not both teams, sorry, just NC. Yeah, just NC. Like the Cardo, look at how strong it is with their line of sight. Like they can quickly and easily see where wood, gold, food is near each individual player.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so much easier for them to collect all their resources.
Yeah, especially considering it's Nomad, which means that map vision is even more important since the layout of the map is so variable, and it's very important that you also know where everyone is located, especially your opponents. Right now, it looks like Skittle is going to be luring in a war, and all these players off to a pretty good start, although does Dogao have any boars of his own? Doesn't look like he has any that he's actually seen, but he is going to go for a really long pull next to Pedro's dock.
I think he should be able to do that.
He'll be fine.
Quite comfortably.
Yeah, since he has the loom upgrade, his villager will indeed survive that pull, so... This is good, as the boar is a very efficient source of food in the early game. Your villagers actually gather food at different rates, so it's important to lure the boar. That way you get a very big boost to your economy.
I think we should maybe have a brief discussion of like the players' maps concerning like their resources.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. What do you
That might be a
think?
good idea. Well, for Dogao, like, he doesn't really have any really close stone, and seeing his mines, he's going to want to go for plumed archers, I assume. I don't think eagles are going to really factor into their strategies. It's like his closest stone is out near Pedro's dock. And they'll probably take that water, seeing they've got both fire and Dogao's docks right next to it, but that's really, really far away from his TC.
It will be extremely difficult for him to protect that.
Yeah, and then like his next closest stone is quite far off to the left. Again, like it's just going to be far too hard for him to defend that. Whereas none of the other civs are really stone heavy in the early Castle Age or anything like that, so it doesn't really matter. And everybody seems to have a gold within a screen or so of their TC. Just about. Except for Pedro's probably got the worst of it. But even so, like his golds are still really sweet positions. And I love how they are sharing a berry bush at the moment.
Oh, these players so sweet. I was hoping that they would palisade around it and actually just split it 50-50. It's funny that Pedro has like 4 stone mines right next to his town center. I guess even a 5th like not too far away in case you want to take advantage of that. It looks like though that Fire is going to put down an outpost just to see if Pedro is up to anything too sneaky, but Pedro is going to be abandoning those forage bushes, instead opting to mill those deer, which I think is a fine decision.
Definitely works for him. Although I think he could definitely mill those deer just to the right of his TC and try to grab those shorefish as well.
Ooh.
Because I can see there's about 5 shorefish next to 2 deer that he could easily take, and that would be so strong with his Indian bonus. Like, I think they gather at about the same speed, like a lot faster than boars do.
That's actually a very good point, but when I check his vision, I was wondering... he does not appear to have seen... Oh my god, yeah, he didn't scout that. So not only does he not see all the deer, but he scouted everything but the shorefish. So there's a small little blind spot in his vision, and that's why I think he didn't mill that. Oh, Pedro's going to be kicking himself for that, as that's a huge part of the Indians' economy if you can take advantage of it.
Otherwise, everybody seems to be on pretty much the same pop. RiuT seems to be fish booming hard. He's on 31. Everyone else I've seen is about 26, 27.
Oh, wow.
And, ooh, Skittle is already up to Feudal Age. Like, well ahead of everyone else.
And he's plopping down a mining camp here with 2 of his villagers, so I'm curious to see what we'll see from him. He does have an awful lot of villagers on wood, though. Do you think he's going to open up... What do you think he's going to open up with?
I don't think
Maybe
he's
a
not
few
going to go for
galleys?
water. His dock's in the middle, though, so like there's no one for him to grush. Oh, he's got a vill on the outside, but...
Oh, he's building a dock!
I don't like that, though, because like, he's already got the dock in the middle, so he essentially has to build 1 extra dock compared to everyone else to catch up on dock numbers.
Yeah. Skittle has that safe fish, but it is a big trade-off considering that he has to build another dock along the edges of the map. I was looking at the way his economy is set up, and we can see that he has so many villagers on wood, and he has the 3 on gold. He's putting a 4th one now. So it definitely signifies galleys to me, as he doesn't really have enough resources to go for anything else. That's usually how that economy
Oh,
would
and
be
he's
set
in
up.
a Vill War now, so he can't actually build any more docks.
Oh, no! Is he going to win the fight?
I
I can't select the
don't
other one.
know. I think he maybe got the first hit.
Oh, that's such bad timing for him there. As it needs to put down as many docks as he can along the edges. Will he win this fight? And he barely loses. Ah, he has another villager coming though. He's fine.
No, but he's far behind
Boom.
though. Dogao's already got 2 docks there. RiuT's got 2 docks just to the north of him. I think Pedro's better get used to the idea that he's going to lose his fish now.
That was a really interesting decision for Skittle to both dock in the middle and then decide to dock at the edge and then go aggressive with some fire galleys. He does have a fire galley, though, which will be pretty good against Fire's own galleys. That's really confusing, because he's a fire galley that's good against Fire's galleys.
Oh, I think, interestingly, Pedro is going for a forward outpost against Fire, and he's walling in the villager like it's a watchtower, but it's an outpost. So I'm wondering if maybe he's misclicked a hotkey or something, or if he just really, really wants to get that forward outpost.
Yes, yes.
Well, I'm not sure, but it looks like the game will continue. Oh, thank God it actually did. Whew. Oh, okay, so it's going to be 2 galleys versus 1 fire galley, a matchup that we've seen time and time again, and this is why the fire galley is so very strong in the early stages of the feudal age, because until you get enough galleys, then the fire galley just clears right through them. There's like a critical mass of galleys, though, that once you get them, you are able to kill the fire galley before it gets too close in there. But right now, Skittle's got 1. How much can he do? Because it looks like Fire doesn't want to take this fight, and he has some fire galleys of his own, so I think Pedro is definitely going to lose his fish.
It looks like Pedro is doing a Market Blacksmith F-Class castle,
Ooh. He
which is Indians, so I'm not sure what he's going to go for. Like, is he going to go for camels?
Camels. Oh, wait. Oh, there's a lot of villagers being assigned to gold. Perhaps this is going to be some sort of like monk push.
Do Indians get good monks? They miss atonement, but other than that, they've got all the important techs. So they've got redemption and HP tech.
One really good play from Skittle that I like is that, notice how he's not actually trying to take a direct fight at all. So what he did was he just ignored Fire's ships entirely, because he knows that Fire is ahead on the water. He has more warships, so Skittle just walks right past them and just goes straight for Dogao's fishing ships. And he's basically killed almost all of them. So both teams trading a lot of economic damage on the water here.
The problem is I've traded Pedro's ships for Dogao's. That's not too bad, but RiuT is fish booming really hard. He had 2 docks making fishing ships early. And Pedro isn't really attacking him. No, sorry, Pedro. NilPferD isn't really attacking him. And it's quickly going to turn into a 2v1 versus NilPferD on the water there. Because Fire will just come over and try to help him out, I think.
I'm definitely in quite a tricky position, but RiuT is up to the Castle Age, so I'm curious to see what his game plan is here, and it looks like RiuT is going for the standard 2-stable knight play. Being the Persians, he has a very strong economy for this, and then his knights have that little extra attack bonus versus archers. Fire, though, still in the Feudal Age. His base is very open, and he is going to have to deal with Pedro soon, as Pedro is up to the Castle Age now. What will he go for?
I hope he's going for monks, since he hasn't actually built any barracks or anything. I hope it's not going for TCs. Yep, he's going for monasteries.
This might be a little too slow.
Yeah, no, he might. Oh, this is going to be bad. Okay, well, he's managed to get partial palisade walls all the way around, at least on that south side, to prevent RiuT easily getting in. But he needs to wall his gold miners in, like, right now.
Yeah, Pedro panicking, as unfortunately for him, RiuT actually got to the Castle Age slightly sooner. And what this means is that these knights are going to just kill all of those gold miners. The quick wall not going to come up in time, and without gold, that means no monks. He's gonna have one come out, but monks create so very slowly. This is awful for Pedro. He's gonna lose another villager while he's waiting for the monk to come out.
And he's only got limited gold in the bank. He can only afford to make about 5 monks. So if he loses a couple of monks, like in one-for-one trades, like technically it's a worthwhile trade, but when he can't afford to keep making monks, I don't think it's gonna pay off for him.
Yeah, the monk choice here is interesting. Perhaps he was just worried he didn't have the economy really to sustain camels, and he just feared the knights that much. Some good micro here from RiuT, by the way. He did manage to delete one of his knights, denying the conversion for Pedro. And, well, right now, Pedro is in absolute shambles with a whopping 0 food in the bank. Can he hold on?
No shorefish would really come in handy right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he seems he's buying food to keep going at the moment.
That's awful, because he doesn't actually have access to his safe kill. At least the good news is for him, though, is that RiuT has decided to bust those back walls from Pedro. He's just running across the entire map, and it looks like he's going to go raid Skittle a bit now. I don't know, those knights are perked in the trees right now.
Trying to get that. I think the walls are sort of messing with the pathfinding a little bit.
Oh yeah, that HD pathing. Well, Pedro on the counterattack.
Oh, good mangonel shot on some villagers there.
Will he fire another one? Yes, he will. Fire going to lose another one of his forgers. It's worth noting that he's still in the Feudal Age, so it's going to be incredibly hard for him to deal with those monks and that mangonel, unless he starts getting out a lot of scouts, of which he just doesn't have the economy for it. If I swap to his perspective right now, Fire is almost halfway to the Castle Age.
You're not doing too badly.
Yeah, he might be okay.
NilPferD's in a similar position as well. And the problem is that NilPferD can easily go pretty much full water at this stage just to try to keep harassing everyone's fish, whereas Fire has to worry about these mangonels and monks, and he can't just concentrate on his Fire Galley micro too much. He has to keep repairing his TC and watching where the monks are going.
Fire is in such an unbelievably bad spot. One of the reasons why he is repairing this town center, of course, is because if it dies, it's going to cancel that Castle Age upgrade. And with that, that would be basically game for Fire. With 2 mangonels, they actually outrange the town center. He has the hill advantage too. This town center is dying really quickly. Fire is in an awful spot, but he will be able to get to the Castle Age and build a new town center at least.
Skittle has built a transport ship, and he's going to transport through the middle lake thing to get around the walls of Dogao.
Oh, I like it. Man, I'm suffering from a serious frame rate lag for a second.
Yeah, no, I got
Skittle
turtle lagging and red comment for Pedro.
Oh, Skittle, come on!
Fix the turtle.
His internet service provider also hopping inside that transport ship as well. Prepping for the landing. He's going to drop that one farmer off with 32 HP. Going to try and perhaps build some sort of forward. Meanwhile, though, Skittle's still being very annoying on the water, just harassing Fires. Fishing ships will be able to kill a couple of them for free. Fire going to lose his main town center. And like you said, NilPferD up to the Castle Age will be able to start focusing very heavily on that navy.
And luckily for Pedro, he has that stone next to his TC, so he's just mining stone and selling it and buying for gold at the moment, just to keep his economy ticking over.
Fire has such an oddly balanced economy.
RiuT is full light cab at the moment.
Whoa.
So this is bad for Pedro, but I think long term it's going to be a lot better for Skittle if he comes around that side with his knights. Because light cav with 0 upgrades,
oh my god,
it's going to absolutely die to knights or camels or whatever Skittle's going to send over there.
I was wondering why he was making so many light cavalry, and I know that he has a gold mine on one of his TCs on the left side, but if you look at RiuT's vision, there is a small blind spot with an extra bore and his closest gold mine that he just didn't see. So, I mean, he's also making light cavalry, of course, to deal with these monks and mangonels, but he's going to be kicking himself when he sees that one later. And it looks like he will be able to clean this out, although he does lose a lot of his light cav to conversions. This is going to be a tricky fight. Fire pulling off a lot of villagers here.
He's definitely going to clear everything up, and he's definitely set Pedro back a lot. But Fire losing that TC He's got no farmers. I don't think he's got a lot of food income. Like, his fishing ships are dying to NilPferD at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I think Pedro's probably still gonna come out slightly ahead long term, especially if Skittle is able to get over there and help out.
And Theo Janinko says HD has DDoS built in. Yes, that is Brazil's new strategy here, trying to get Skittle to disconnect. That would be one of the better ways to come out on top here. These light cavalry, of course, resist conversion for the monks, and they're very good against the mangonels minimum range, so that was a huge loss for Pedro. Mangonels very expensive. Really difficult to actually keep them alive, too. And losing all those is going to set them back.
Speaking of that, Skill is about to lose a mangonel to some plumed archers.
That minimum range.
Oh, the transport ship, the knights.
Here comes another mangonel at the
and
back.
The new mangonel. Oh, that. If he can get the shot. Attack round, attack round.
Oh, the HD lag. He can't do it. You can't micro.
Oh, and the villager's dead as well.
Oh, and Skittle just gives up. He's like, oh, it's HD. Fuck this. I'm going to back off with my mangonel here. Dogao getting away with murder. So yet another mangonel lost to that minimum range. Meanwhile, a couple defensive spearmen down for Pedro, as his own monks are so very vulnerable. He's going to have to use some spearmen to try and defend himself.
I think NilPferD, now that he's mostly taking war control, I think he's going to start to switch into a boom and try to go for the Portuguese gunpowder imp. Just judging by the way he set up his base, like he's got walls out most of the sides, and he's dropping a lot of TCs very quickly.
Yeah, once he gets his huge economy rolling, then he will become a force to be reckoned with in the later stages of the game. That arquebus hand cannoneers, of course, the unique technology for the Portuguese, making it so their gunpowder benefits from ballistics, makes their bombard cannons, bombard towers, and hand cannoneers snipers. And you know, the only thing that can make bombard towers better is if they don't miss. So basically, NilPferD's going to be a ticking time bomb.
Bombard towers already are affected by ballistics, but arquebus makes them shoot faster.
Right, right. Well, now they just don't miss ever.
Yeah, like, you can't, like, because normally you can see it coming, you can sort of just, like, step to the side. That doesn't happen anymore. And, oh, Fire's going for a forward castle on Pedro's new TC.
And,
but it's not going to go up. Those converted light cabs are actually doing good.
How good are light cavalry against monks? The answer is not amazing. They're pretty good, but in a situation like this where Pedro is able to have his monks safely underneath his town centers, he'll eventually get that conversion off. Push fire back. That's so many villagers lost for fire.
And the amazing thing about this is, like, you can get the convert with your monk and then just jump in the TC and pop out on the other side.
Oh, yeah. The jukes.
So, like, really, really low chances of losing monks if you're able to micro.
Oh, well. Thank you, Steve. Good to have you here. And, yeah, Pedro going to be grabbing a relic while he's at it, putting down another barrack. So, yet again, he's fearing the light cavalry from RiuT. And RiuT actually has 2 knights inside of his stables, so he might start transitioning into knights as soon as Pedro stops making as many monks.
Oh, Fire deleted his castle and he's building a new one to defend his new economy. But I think he's going to have some serious problems when he starts to take wood. Because he's got 3 wood lines around his base, basically, and 2 of them are really far forward. And all of his TCs are basically on gold and stone at this stage.
Yeah, Fire's base is very, very hard to defend, and he's forced to put down this castle here to protect at least what little map control that he actually has. Some good news, though, for the Brazil team is that RiuT is almost up to the Imperial age, and that's going to be a very significant power spike for them, so we'll have to see if they're able to take advantage of that. I think he'll be the first player up to the Imperial age.
I haven't seen anyone else anywhere near it yet. NilPferD is getting close. He just needs a little bit more food. Skittle, nope. Pedro, nope. RiuT is an imp. Fire, yeah, he's got nothing. And Dogao he's not really booming at all. He's got 2 castles. He's making a lot of plumed archers.
Well, RiuT might be imp, but he does not have enough food to actually get the Cavalier upgrade yet. So it looks like he will be heavily teching in to those paladins. Chain birding complete, husbandry complete. Meanwhile, Pedro trying to secure an additional gold mine for himself with that town center. Pedro actually moving aggressively here, knowing that while he has a significant tech disadvantage, he does have a small military lead, so maybe this is a window where he can push out a little bit?
Yeah, it's gonna be risky though because
He's surrounded.
Yeah, like he doesn't really care if RiuT loses a stable or two because really stables aren't that expensive. It's pretty easy to rebuild some more, and he just needs to wait until he has 10 or so knights, and then he can just rush in there and kill all of that. But the pikeman upgrade coming in for Pedro, which is pretty good, and some Geonese crossbows to deny that TC.
I like that. Mixing in a couple of those bad boys. It looks like the monks are coming in from fire. We'll deny that town center too. Meanwhile, though, Pedro did just start researching the Imperial Age. I don't think this town center will go up, or he won't actually be able to hold it successfully. It's going to be a tricky battle for him. In the meantime, though, inside Skittle's base, Dogao has managed to sneak in a ton of plumed archers, denying that siege workshop, and is killing so many villagers.
Oh, he's gonna need some real strong hero mangonel shots.
Can he get it, though? Those plumed archers are so fast. Excellent combat stats on them, making them very, very efficient raiding units. And Dogao somehow able to actually micro his plumed archers in Aoe2 HD. A god amongst men, he will be able to get out of there scot-free before the mangonel gets to fire a single shot.
Oh, and NilPferD's gonna be in a bit of trouble though at the moment. He does not have any land army whatsoever.
Oh, shit.
He doesn't even have a siege workshop yet.
Is he at least on the way to Imp?
Nope. He's close. He only needs a little bit of food and gold, but not ready yet.
I think the extremely fast Imperial Age from RiuT was perhaps one of the game-winning plays here, as NC's struggling immensely. NilPferD, he's almost able to... Wait, where did all of his money go? Because he's not advancing to Imp, and he has no money now. Did he just tribute that?
He must have.
Oh, that's risky. So he's just conceded that he's just not actually going to go to Imp, so instead he tributed all the money. I didn't actually see who he sent it to, but...
Yeah, I didn't see anything either, but I'm guessing it's Pedro, since he's almost an Imp, is the logical choice.
Yeah.
Oh, Skittle's actually almost Imp as well, so...
Pedro with the Desperation Castle. Can he do it? I think he'll actually be able to get this castle up, and that might buy him a bit of time, but in the meantime, Fire also with another forward castle.
And RiuT with a forward castle.
Oh, God.
Everyone's building castles today.
Pedro's running out of base to conserve. Meanwhile, Dogao snuck his way into NilPferD's base. NilPferD, despite having stone walls, not so safe, it turns out. Skittle gonna have to send some knights to take those down, but I don't know if he has enough knights to actually kill those plumed archers.
Yeah,
I think he doesn't have enough.
He needs the upgrades before he takes that fight. And another issue with where those plumed archers are, Pedro can't really run villages through NilPferD's base. If he wants to get some more land. And if we start thinking longer term, Brazil has a lot more landmass in their control. If we assume all that area between RiuT and Dogao is theirs, which is a pretty safe assumption. They've got so many golds and stones in there that haven't been touched. Whereas if you look around the NC side, there's not a lot of resources not being mined at this point in time.
Yep. In Age of Empires 2, map control is everything, and even though Dogao is relatively isolated, since his team is ahead, that has given them so much territory to work with, so many resources that they're able to just safely collect without being afraid of getting raided. Meanwhile, though, Pedro does have a trebuchet, which is exactly what he'll need to claw his way back into this beast. Almost no economy. NilPferD has transitioned into essentially full-on slinging Pedro and Skittle. Will that work out? We'll have to see, as the Cavaliers did clear out Dogao's raid, so NilPferD is safe. This is a precarious situation for Pedro.
I'm thinking that NilPferD went a little bit too heavy on water earlier. And he hasn't really taken advantage of that. He hasn't dropped more docks and made more fishing ships. He's just kept making fire ships and war galleys and basically lost them to castles.
Yeah, that's certainly going to be a decision.
It hasn't really paid off for him.
Well, Dogao going to send in some reinforcements, some plumed archers to go back up the Genoese crossbowmen from fire. Right now, it looks like Pedro's is an army of just mostly halberdiers, so they're going to get slaughtered by those archers. He does have a lot of trebs, though. RiuT is having some extreme difficulty holding onto this castle. He will lose this. I think Fire's going to lose his own castle as well. Pedro showing some signs of life.
But Dogao's now in Imp. He'll be getting elite plumed archers soon, and Indians don't really have anything they can do versus mass archers. They can do skirmishers, obviously, but
it's not great.
They don't have good knights. They don't have any knights. They don't have Huskars. I don't have anything like that that they can use to cheaply and efficiently counter archers. And with the G-Needs crossbows having a bonus versus elephant archers, they aren't really a very strong option either.
Yeah, elephant archers are okay versus archers, and you can always make onagers, but neither of those are ideal, especially versus Genoese crossmen. So Pedro kind of backed into a corner with what units he's allowed to make. Meanwhile, though, Skittle going on the offensive, trebbing all of those walls from Dogao on the right side of the map, but RiuT has the Paladin upgrade. These Berber Cavaliers, the Berbers are starting to drop off.
Yeah, they don't get Paladin, and they really needed to do a lot more damage with the Berbers early in the game. I think a Persia is probably a better pick long term, or just in general for this game.
Like, the Berbers are such a weird civilization because their castle age is oppressively powerful. With the 20% cheaper knights is ridiculous, as they're able to have 5 knights for every 4 that you do. However, they lack a lot of very impactful Imperial Age upgrades, things like ring archer armor, for example, they don't have paladins, so they lack the ability to take that bonus and then snowball it into the late game, whereas the Persians are just consistent. And if you don't fall too far behind to the Berbers early on, which RiuT did just fine, then now having paladins and that strong Persian economy is, generally speaking, going to be superior. And Skittle pushing out, losing all of his trebs, he's in trouble.
I almost feel like the camel regen tech, seeing as it bugs and it affects everyone, could actually help Imperial camels quite a lot. So, it's not supposed to help his allies, but Imperial camels with regen, that could be pretty dangerous.
Yeah, for those of you who are not aware, Aoe2 HD has been, unfortunately, rather buggy since the developers have not done any work on it since December. We've had all sorts of weird bugs left in the game for a while, which will be fixed eventually, I hope. Like Maghrabi camels, the Berbers technology actually applies the regeneration bonus to every player in the game.
Including your enemies.
Including your enemies. Which is actually not so bad here, though, just because the Maghrabi camels does have some good synergy with the Imperial ones. Well, it looks like Skittle is in deep trouble, so even though Pedro is doing a decent job holding his own 2v1, if Skittle dies, then I think that's the end of NC.
I think it's pretty much game now anyway. Like, Pedro's just been slung a shit ton of resources. He's got 2k wood, 2k food, 2k gold, 2k stone. But at the moment, he's making trash and onagers.
There are 2 decent points. Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and it's not going to cut it.
And NC gonna call game.
I know you love your trash and siege army composition, but for these civs, I don't think it's gonna
It doesn't work here, no. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing, and it's worth noting that the elephant archers is one of the problems with them is they're so slow to mass up. So even if they are good against archers, you're never going to reach that critical mass. And even though the Berbers' cavalry is still very cost-efficient versus paladins in the later game, in the latest stages of the game, it starts to boil down to how efficient your units are. And in an even number of paladins versus cavaliers in the later stages of the game, the Persians are going to dominate, which we can see reflected in the KDs. So GG, well played. A pretty impressive victory there for Brazil.
And NilPferD just saying there that he wasn't able to sling Skittle, which is a little bit unfortunate, but...
Yeah, all of his tribute went to Pedro. 17,000 resources trying to keep Pedro alive. And I would say that Skittle, he did manage... I mean, NilPferD did manage to actually keep Pedro alive. Unfortunately, though, Skittle had to pay the price.
I think if a sling could have gone to Skittle, that might have been more useful, because then he could have better abused the cheaper stables in Castle Age.
Yeah, perhaps Pedro was just too far behind initially. That by the time
he wasn't able to sling them because of the bug where allies just randomly can't sling.
Oh, he literally wasn't able to.
Yes.
I thought he just didn't have enough money, or that he chose not to. Oh, that's bullshit. Wow.
I still think they probably would have lost long term, but that could have maybe made a difference.
He literally wasn't able to sling. For those of you who are not aware, and you may have seen the previous African Kingdoms 3v3 showcase, in Game 2, NC got screwed hard by the weird bug in HD, where if you have spectators, sometimes, on a rare occasion, you can't tribute one member of your team. No one actually knows how this bug works, or if or when it will be fixed. It doesn't happen every game, though. And unfortunately, NC yet again on the receiving end of that bug, not able to send Skittle any money, and then as a result he died. That might have significantly changed the outcome of the game, actually. Huh. I mean, we could have made a rule for no slinging, but that wouldn't have changed the outcome of this game at all, because NC was the only one actually slinging. So, and if he didn't sling, then they would have lost. So, and if he could have slung Skittle, maybe it would have been different. Hard to say, but disabling slinging doesn't really do anything there when Brazil didn't do it either. So, interesting game regardless, though.
Yeah, it's just a little bit unfortunate.
Very.
But NC definitely knew that that was a possibility going into the game.
Well, regardless, GG well played. We're going to be moving into Game 4 and then Game 5 after this. So I've got everything you need and more in the video description below. So I'll have links to the rest of the games as well as any other Expert Age of Empires 2 things if you need your fix. For those of you who are wondering about personal stuff for me, I am busy casting the tournament right now, so I'm not going to be going too into that. But at some point I might make an update video if you guys want to know what's in store for the future. And we'll be back in just a few minutes with the next game, so stay tuned, stay tuned. And thank you as well, Robo, for organizing all this and for Brazil and NC for participating. We'll be right back, guys.